We are in a city in central Taiwan. Around all of the street stands and food stalls. But behind all of this activity and life is a relic of 1980s and 1990s Taiwan commercial expansion. Opened in 1990, this building was supposed to remain an entertainment and commercial hub for many years to come. However, it turned out that this building didn't become the Golden Empire it was supposed to be. So from the bottom to the top, the building is totally abandoned. Each floor, totally abandoned. But you can still see clues to what kind of businesses and entertainment venues existed in the building before it was closed forever and condemned after the 9/21 earthquake hit Taiwan in 1999. This building is completely dead. There's no lights inside. All the commercial activity ceased over 20 years ago. Hotels, bars, nightclubs, department stores, KTVs, MTVs, all these businesses ceased operation just after the 9/21 earthquake which hit Taiwan. Now then, it's a myth in the urban exploring community as to what is in there. Nobody has ever been able to get in to explore the building, but we got some footage from a bit earlier today, which we were given, and we can show you around. I myself have been trying for years to get into this building without any success whatsoever. To get into this building is almost impossible. However, somehow footage has come to light from people who managed to get in. Now, we don't know how that happened. They may have had permission from the owners. Who knows? But we are able to supply you with some footage. So sit back and enjoy the dusky, dank 13th floor building, which is known as the Golden Empire of Yuanning. On the top of the building, there is a rather large and extensive KTV. This must have been quite a spectacular place back in the day, with its glass roof and rather exclusive feel. Due to it being on the top of the building, and due to all the glass and scaffolding having collapsed, it now serves as a refuge for pigeons. The building is still a safety hazard and a fire risk. During typhoons, bits of glass and masonry can be seen falling from the building, and special attention has to be paid to the surrounding streets and roads so as people are not injured by the falling debris. The hotel was a popular chain called Hotel Kingdom. Some of the windows are broken and have allowed the elements to come inside, and in some of the rooms, nature has taken over. Some of the keys to the hotel rooms can be found at the reception. can see the damage that the earthquake caused to the building. The building was completed in 1991 and was closed in 1999 because of structural failures and terrible safety conditions. The building was closed and condemned. The elevators lie in the positions where they were when the earthquake happened. This is due to the lift shafts having buckled and bent. There was one floor reserved for study. Seats at the beginning of the class or the start of the class are very low, standard-sized seats. However, the closer you get to the rear of the class, the taller the seats and tables get. This classroom is now ghostly quiet. As was the case in the 1980s and the 1990s, these urban areas were being renewed and large department store complexes were being constructed in the city centres. This building has remained largely derelict for the last 20 years. This is mostly due to the fact that the building has approximately 300 owners, and all of them need to come to a consensus on how the building and the land which it rests upon will be used in the future. The building sits on the site of a former Japanese government bureau or town hall. The beautiful Japanese building was torn down in the late 1980s to make way for this rather tall and unsightly monstrosity. Inside the building are several KTVs. These KTVs bustled for a total of 9 years between 1990 and 1999. It's not difficult to imagine the kind of clientele which visited or frequented these places. They would have been gangster types, possibly looking for a little bit of prostitution and booze. These KTV rooms now lie quiet and still.
This is a radiological defense operations room, a nerve center for survival, which we hope we will never have to use. But since war could come, this room is ready, and so are others throughout the country.
Behind the scenes are rooms containing hundreds and hundreds of VHS tapes. Walking around these places, it's interesting to see the technology from the 1980s and the 1990s abandoned in place. Cathode tube TV screens, VHS rewinders, VHS tapes, old CCTV systems, TV screens. One of the more interesting places we had a look at was a restaurant and bar area. Some of the tables had been arranged for the next day. Behind one of the restaurants in one of the kitchens was a storeroom containing foodstuff abandoned for 20 years because the contents now evaporated. was a strange feeling opening a can of coffee which had been left in place for over 20 years. At least 2 of the floors in the building were home to nightclubs. Evidence of the dance nights and partying can be seen hanging from the ceiling in the form of dusty and unpolished, faded glitter balls. MTVs are where you were able to pay to rent a small private room and watch a movie. The room contained either a sofa or a small soft bed, and they were popular with teenagers and young adults who wished to pursue love affairs away from the prying eyes of their parents and in secret. Most of these buildings are a general fire and safety hazard. In one of the nightclubs, we can see evidence of pole dancing and other nefarious activities which went on through the night. A cinema complex occupies 2 floors. Is now a silent shell of concrete. We are reminded by some of the joyous times which were had by thousands of children by some of the old mechanical rides which are littering the foyer area. Littering some of the lower floors were hundreds of popular arcade games from the 1980s and the 1990s. Of particular interest was an old Midway Mortal Kombat game. Built during the 1990s, the building housed snooker halls, bars, KTVs, arcade machines, gambling houses, prostitute houses, restaurants, hotels, department stores. To imagine this building was, for a brief time at least, the prime entertainment venue for the area makes the silence inside this building all the more deafening.